What's going on, everyone? I'm just testing my mic quickly. Sounding good. All right. I'm gonna put this away then. We'll get started. Ugh. All right. What's going on, everyone? We're a couple minutes out. I figured I'd start the stream a little early. And I'm actually just going to get right on sharing the stop motion program. Booyah. And this can go away. All right. We are looking pretty good. Yeah. Awesome. Whew. What's up, everyone? How's it going, James? Welcome back. Yeah. I was setting up, I was doing a little practice setup for this shot last night, but I had to move things around because I had to work on another puppet just before streaming. Yeah, right now I'm kind of having this little issue. Texas Red Drone, how you doing? Yeah, right now I'm having this little issue where like this desk, great desk, love it. But it's just, there's a bit too much happening on it. Anything done on my computer, sculpting, animating, stuff with clay, stuff with Legos. There's just so much going on it, and it's a little bit difficult to manage. So I'm about to have a whole bunch of stuff moved out of this workspace, and I'm going to try and have another desk put in. I actually have my old desk at my other studio right now, which is great. You know what? I'm going to try and open this back a little bit. Let's see. So the reason that I'm going to move the camera back, at least try, is because you'll notice, actually, what does my camera even look like right now? It doesn't look that bad on camera, but like the distance between me and the puppets is pretty far. So I'm gonna have to be like leaning kind of awkwardly in order to animate them, which is not something that you want if you're planning on filming for a while. Draconis, what's up? Good to have you back. So yeah, just to have a more ergonomically viable setup, I'm going to move the puppets closer. As close as possible is what you want. But now I'm going to have to readjust the lights and the backdrop, which is all right. Oops. Yeah, a lot going on right here. Well, Draconis, yeah, it's good to have you back. We have not started filming yet, so you are just in time. So I'm setting up to film another shot, 24 frames per second. Let's see. And this is going to be the only shot featuring these three guys right here, this string trio. And then once it's done, I can disassemble these puppets and use the clay for another shot. I'm just readjusting the setup. I'm going to be setting up for a few minutes, but that's fine. I very much like the setting up. I'm trying to figure out how close I can get these characters to me without having them completely escape the light. Hmm. Yeah, because I have my computer right here in the corner. Ideally, I would have a setup where the laptop does not have to share space with the puppets. That would be nice, but I work with what I have. And all things considered, this is not a bad setup. I mean, I'm able to film Brick Bob films with it, so gotta be doing something right. I'm just trying to think. It's just a backdrop. It's like the real thing. Making sure that everything's lit properly. I think I'm gonna turn on the AC because like I'm not even filming yet and I'm like getting really hot. I don't know why that's happening. That should help a bit. But yeah, because we only have these puppets ready, I think I'm only going to film this shot during this stream. That should be fine because it's going to be quite a few seconds. And 24 frames per second. So it's going to require a lot of frames. Just trying to see how much I can get this in. Not wide enough. I need something to hold that up. So like, evening, Tim. How you doing? So like, the annoying thing is, at my other studio space, I actually have like a really good like blue screen, green screen, double-sided backdrop, but I don't have it here, and I don't feel like going to drive over and get it because it's a little far. So I just kind of threw this together when working on Squid Bob Tentacle Pants. This I actually made for the cameo from UB Funkies. Ugh. I teach stop motion sometimes, and one thing that I stress to my students, like beginner stop motion, is I say that there's really no such thing as a correct stop motion setup. You kind of work with what you have. I think that this setup that you are seeing right now is the perfect example of that. This is not pretty by any means, but I think we can make it work. Also, this has to work. Yeah, Draconis, how to stay motivated. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of how to answer that. Well, take this from me, whether you're struggling with motivation or not, I have ideas that never get made. It just happens. Like, there's only so many hours. But one thing that I did to make sure that I was animating more consistently, well, first off, I decided that I wanted to be a professional animator. And the path to doing that is not really clear, and it requires a lot of figuring out, because every animator or artist has something different to bring to the table. Like, what I bring is different than the next guy. I have my own little, I guess, niche. Sometimes clay, sometimes it's Lego. I would like for it to be more clay. Legos is more Brick Bob Films. But when it comes to motivation, I find that like something that works better than having motivation is having a setup that keeps you inspired. So like, I've talked about this in one of my videos, but like, oh, actually, you know what? I should turn on my timer. I should do that. So I talked about this in one of my recent videos, but one thing that I do to stay consistent is I set up my environment to facilitate making more animations. So like in my room, like I want to be making animations all the time. But one of the ways I do that, one of the ways I make that happen is by just immersing myself in it. So like half of my room is dedicated to my filmmaking. So whether I am motivated or not, it's always sitting here in the corner reminding me, you know? So the reason that I can't clamp the light onto here is because this desk has a rounded edge. It's more comfortable for your forearms when you're working on the computer, which is great. But I can't really put a light here. It's a little annoying. So I'm going to check my camera settings really quick. So like one of the things I really liked about working with Lego is, especially when you're a kid, Legos are just so easy to build and work with and animate. I think Legos are like really, really easy to animate. Because a Lego man has such a limited range of movement that you kind of have to get creative to out of them. I'm going to take a few test frames. These are the ones I took last night. I want them to get a little closer together. I think the lighting's better. It needs some adjustments, but it's not bad looking. And the guy on the left. James, that's a really good, cool piece of trivia. I did not know that. Yeah, I know that stop motion's been around pretty much since like cameras were first streamlined, but I did not know about that. I like the lighting here. I like the lighting on the cello and this guy. So one thing that I try and do whenever I need to key out a blue screen or a green screen is I make sure that the lights, the colorful lights, are not hitting the blue screen, and vice versa. I don't want the color from the screen to bounce back on the characters because that's going to cause issues in the editing process. I don't want the blue to reflect on the characters because they're not supposed to be in front of a blue screen. And even then, if it does, you're able to change some of the color values in post production. But on the flip side, for keying out the blue screen, the more blue it is and the less contaminated it is by the lighting from the set, the easier it will be to key out. From my experience, I use Adobe Premiere to key out the blue screen. I figure for tonight, just a reminder, I'm going to set up this shot, film it, and by the time I'm done, it should be about 2 hours. Less, hopefully. And I'll probably call the stream there because I don't have the other puppets ready. But once the scene is filmed, I can take these guys apart, put the clay towards the next project. Here's my water. Yeah, Tim, it's like that's a really good point. And I feel that when I'm working on a project, I feel that way after I've started. So like starting filming a project, starting from the complete beginning, you have no assets yet, no resources, just well, you haven't filmed anything yet. That is the hardest part because that feels the most touch and go. But I find that the more work I do on a scene, the more like momentum I build. And that way I'm not so fixated on how do I start? Where do I start? I've now gotten past that point and I'm like, okay, what does this project need next? You know? And I find the more that I work on this project, the more I feel that way. Because trust me, there were plenty of times where I just like did not want to even start a project because I was like, ugh, it's so touch and go, so finicky. But once I really started getting into it, seeing it come together, I was like, okay, what does this scene need? It needs this shot and this shot and this shot, this background and this background and this set piece. That's kind of where I'm at now. I'll crank the AC even higher. But so far, things are looking pretty good over here. Where were we at before? Yeah, so Draconis, it's like the word that I like to use is friction. So the more friction there is in your setup, the harder it can be to start working. Up does expend energy, you know? Finding supplies, finding materials, throwing all that stuff together, if it's draining for you, that's the part that you got to get through. So that's why for me it's like I keep a lot of my materials close by. I like having a table here all the time that's just ready to film at, which is why I've been mentioning that my I'm looking forward to having a new table so I can have a little just for the characters, but also so I can see your chats. I think this is good. So you see that I don't think I even have to like make sure this will work in Adobe Premiere. I think it's going to key out just fine. What I like about this lighting is you'll notice that the characters, the subjects, and the light shining on both of them is way, way different than the backdrop. The blue backdrop contrasts really well with the orange lights, which means it should theoretically be easier to key out. James, that's awesome. Hopefully I don't disturb this camera because the foot is kind of close to my, or the foot of the tripod's kind of close to my foot. But I think other than that, we should be about ready to begin. Yeah, I don't like that. Guys, Phoenix, how you doing? Don't worry about it. We're still setting up here. Going to begin filming soon. I'm wondering if I can move the tripod back even more. I'm just going to take a test shot. Let's see. I figure the more back it is, the more comfortable it will be to film. Yeah, Geist Phoenix. If oh, did the camera disconnect for my program? Yeah, it did. Okay, it's okay. I just have to refresh it. Just do that. But yeah, Geist Phoenix. I would totally like to do a live stream where I'm doing Brickbot films. Whenever the next episode may be. I am planning on doing one this year. I cannot say when it's going to be filmed though, because like I've said in past streams, it's like there's so many projects I have to work on and have to get done that ultimately it comes down to priority of which one I'm going to work on. Let's see how we're looking. That should be good. But yeah, like filming me doing a live stream of making an episode of Brickbot Films, that could be awesome. But doing these streams so far has also made me think about. Oh, is that what it looks like? Oh, wait. No, that's it. That's it. But doing these streams so far has made me think about possibilities of what else I could do in the live stream format. But yeah, working on Brickbot Films is awesome. For the longest time, I didn't think that I could do like a viable setup for streaming the stop motion process. But so far, this has been working pretty well. I think I might have done enough preparation. I think I just have to go for it. Lighting should be good. Might open the shutter a little. Is that too much? I'm just going to reduce the shutter just a little bit. Like I said, I like to have a little bit too much light than not enough because it's easier to add light, or rather add dark in post than add artificial light. That should be good. All right, here we go. I think I'm just going to adjust that just really quick. I want your hand here. Want their bows in a relatively neutral position. My ringer going off? Heck no. Turning that off. I'm animating. Oh yeah, Tim, I have ideas quite frequently of stop motion films to make. Just operating at like my current level, it's weird when it comes to making a stop motion film. And when I say film, I mean a short film, not feature film. I could definitely make a feature film, but right now I'm kind of a one man show, and that would take forever. But you know what I thought was really cool was recently I went to a animation convention, just got back from Tennessee, and I saw the artist, an animator, brilliant animator, Aaron Blaze speak, and somebody asked him, like, do you want to make a feature film at some point? And he said that, yeah, like, it would be awesome to make a feature film. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he just wants to be sitting in his studio drawing. And that's how I feel about my projects, you know? Feature film or not. But I would really like to make some of my ideas soon. I would like to make some original ideas this year. I've been saying that I'm going to for a while, but I have been busy doing other projects like this one right here. And even then, there's a bunch of originality in this one. And I'm very happy to be a part of this reanimated collab. But a big concern to me for a while has been finding a way to include you guys on my process, like in behind the scenes for making my films. And so far, even though this is, oh my gosh, this is my fourth stream. I don't believe it. I think my first stream was a week ago. But yeah, I did not envision in 1 week that I would be doing a fourth stream. But I think this is a really cool way to include you guys on the process. Like just having you in the program with me. How you doing, Dylan? Thanks for joining. We're just talking and animating here. I haven't seen you here before, but thanks for popping in. It's good to have you. I like seeing new people. Yeah, so can't believe I've gone this long without mentioning it, but yeah, we are animating 3 subjects today. Very complicated. At 24 frames per second, no less. 3 gentlemen playing their instruments. And I just moved the light. You know what? This is like the 5th time in the past couple hours that my watch has interfered with my work. So it's going to go in the timeout corner. When animating Lolo the Lucky Clown over the previous month or months, time flies so fast. But when doing those studies with Lolo over the past month, I got very used to animating with the toggle on. Whoa, Sean, your profile photo is a zebra. I'm starting to believe your friend and you. But you're also new. What's up, man? Super Banana Man, thanks for inviting a friend. It's so great to see more faces. I don't know how many people are in the stream right now because this is a small computer screen and I am devoting the screen to the chat and the animation program, so I cannot see how many people are in the stream, but either way, thank you guys for joining. But yeah, with the toggle on, I usually like to have it back a couple frames just so I can make sure that the subjects are following the continuity. So in my stop motion program, right now, I have a video reference of a string trio, violin, viola, and cello, just to kind of guide me along, because I don't want to have to sit here and completely multitask for a few hours. I have the video to remind me that yes, all of these guys have to be moving, and this is what a string player should look like when they play their instrument. Not to say that this is going to be very realistic, but that's okay. It's clay animation. Lethal Lord, welcome back. Yeah, we got some new people in here today. Let me just make sure we're following the right continuity. I think this guy needs to move his bow a bit more. I am not kidding. Just as I was moving my hand just now, and I was doing this, I saw this large. Wait, can you see that? Yeah, look at that. I saw that large shadow come in the background, and not gonna lie, that kind of freaked me out. That's never happened before. Yeah, that's the other thing with the whole animation process. I always say that starting a shot is like the suckiest part. Because it's touch and go. And if you look at the first like few frames of an animation, it doesn't look good. It's not pretty. But then once you go long enough and you just have more movement happening and you start building that context of movement and form, once you start building that, then once again, psychologically, it's like, okay, this is where I'm at. Now I just have to take the next step, just one frame at a time. Yeah, another reason I turned up the air conditioning is, and believe me, especially when you're working with clay puppets, you do not want them to gradually be heating up over time, because I have had puppets fall apart in the middle of a shot before. It will happen. But also, as the clay can conduct heat from your hands. And I'm going to tell you right now, these are not the most stable puppets. I don't think most clay animation puppets are stable, but these ones especially are not. Like these are not like, they don't have threaded tie downs in the feet. There's nothing anchoring them in. They could fall over at any moment. Oh, hopefully that doesn't happen. I've been spoiled animating Lolo at 24 frames per second, and I made like 5 5 or 6. I'm going to be conservative and say 5 shots back to back. Ball and socket armature, metal joints. It's not going to fall apart. Hard head, hard hands. Yeah, there will always, like, no matter what I animate in the future, there's always going to be a special place in my heart for animating clay puppets. It is a messy, dreadful material that is absolutely delightful. Yeah, so when I was animating the Banana Man, Nana Man, they call him, from Clay Fighter. What's going on? Back in like 2017, August, I animated that. Oh, shoot, way too much. I animated that in my grandparents' garage in the sweltering, the blistering August heat. Maybe it was July. But yeah, so I tried filming it. And the very first day of filming, I was animating and straight up, one of the puppet's heads just fell off. Just straight up fell off. And then after that happened, I was like, all right, this project is going to have to wait. So ultimately, I filmed it over late August, and I got it done like the very last day of August, and it was published September 1st, I believe. And then I filmed another project there, Jasper and a Jam, in October, maybe November, October, November. I started working on it in September though, and animating in there was way more comfortable for that project. It was a perfect time of year. And the following year, in December, yeah, it was definitely December, I animated Clay Crumbling episode 20, the Super Cow episode. And oh my God, it was animating in there in the garage. It was so cold. I was able to make it work, but it was freezing down there. And it was so extreme that, I mean, by all means, I guess I wouldn't say extreme, but it was so much so that I had to put my puppets in front of a space heater, place heater. I think it's a space heater they call them, before filming. I had a heat gun too, I think. Yeah, another thing about working with puppets like this, wire puppets, clay, is it sometimes when like you're in between frames, they can move by themselves a bit. The structural integrity of the wire or the clay just being the clay, being very droopy. Stuff can move on its own a little bit, and that was something that I wasn't really getting with Lolo as well. So yeah, it's like oh yeah, I used to work with this. Yeah, Geist Phoenix, I would totally like to do a stream where I film an episode of Brickbop Films. I think that would be awesome. Like that's the thing. I didn't have like the confidence to do this like a while back, but now here I am doing it. Oh, shoot. Yo, what's up, Rocco? Oh, man's getting swole while listening to me animate. You are a trooper. But yeah, like what you were saying, Phoenix, is like I could totally see myself announcing, like not just publishing a new episode, but like announcing a new episode and saying, all right, here's the episode that's going to come out when, and you guys can all be a part of it by tuning in on live streams. Like that could be awesome. That would just like, that would give everybody like a whole new way to just join in. Because right now, what kind of happens is, and that's a big problem that I've been having with Rick Bob Films. It's just I make an episode, I publish the episode, and that's it. You know, there's no, there's not really any other way that I've engaged. That like, there's no call to action that I can give the audience beforehand to like get involved or something. So I'm gonna try and keep up this whole streaming thing. I don't know what episode. Well, actually, I did have an idea of what episode I would do next. I actually got so the voice actor for Sergeant Roderick in Smitty Werber Jaegerman Jensen. I actually got him to record lines for another episode of Brickbot Films. It was originally going to come out at the end of 2025, December, but I realized that I wasn't going to be able to make the December release date. So I changed course and made Squid Bob Tentacle Pants instead. Because this episode idea that he recorded lines for, it has a lot of claymation in it, clay animation. There's a reason I keep saying clay animation and not claymation, but I'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, I did Squid Bob Tentacle Pants instead. But even then, Squid Bob Tentacle Pants, that took a long time to film. The clay animation special effects, kind of like what you're seeing right now, the special effects for that episode, legit, like I'm not kidding you, I think accounted for like an additional 10 to 20 hours of work. I think 20. I would have to check in my records. I'm pretty sure it was 20. And it was just, it was so hard, but it was so worth it in the end. Those effects just like I love I love seeing those pop out amongst the the Lego environments, just the whole other visual look of the show because no other Lego channel does that. Moyer, thank you so much. Yeah, I want to do more animation related content on this channel, but just a big thing for me, a big point of friction, I guess you could say, is that I just really hate editing. I'm totally chill with editing my animation stuff. Like I'm totally down to edit a project together like I'm going to be doing with this. But just editing footage of me talking I just hate. Like I really don't like it. I just find it so boring. And I know that like I don't even because I'm not enthusiastic about editing, I usually the editing comes off like even I can see that the editing is like half-assed. Like I'm not concerned with making pretty editing. It's just more like what does the material convey? What is the meat of it? What am I saying in in the video? What's the point of it? So far this has been a pretty decent workaround to just show you guys this is what makes my projects possible. I mean, really you guys make it possible, but this is what it looks like. But that's awesome that you're pursuing uh oh, yeah, that you're also pursuing animation or doing stop motion. YouTube has just changed so much since I began and whatever your age may be, I know nowadays kids are watching, I mean, just everyone in general are watching very different stuff than what I was watching when I grew up on YouTube. I did watch a lot of animation, but there has been a lot of change on the platform. And I'm just trying to remain versatile enough to see, like, okay, how can I evolve with this platform, but still keep the the guts of what made my audience connect with me to begin with. But it's taken me a while to take this leap and do something like a stream or even get on camera, you know? That was something that I never thought I would be doing. I never thought that I would stream. I never thought that I would teach. I never thought that I would do a lot of things. But one of the things that I love so much about animation is that it's forced me to get out of my comfort zone and do things I never thought I would do. And I think that's pretty cool. Like animation, it's a lot of work. even if you absolutely love it, and if you do it, it's a lot of work. It's so much. So if I could find a way to put out elements of my work that anyone can enjoy, whether it's my process or my personality, I would like I would like to indulge that and see what's possible. Forest fire. I don't know if I've ever. I don't know if I've ever seen them. I watched a few Lego animators in my youth, but the thing with me is like I feel as though I was born to animate, but forced to Lego because Lego was how I developed my initial audience on Brick Bob Films as a kid. I'm grateful for it, but it's not my preference. I think it has so many benefits, but as I try and get into more original storytelling and putting out my style out there and my voice and my original work, I think that the aesthetic of it can communicate so much, whether it's the material you work with. I will always be grateful for Lego, but even so, like that's why my favorite episodes of Brick Bob Films have my clay animation in it, because when I see my clay animation in an episode of Brick Bob Films, I'm thinking, okay, so this is I can see more of me in the scene. Like whenever I see that clay animation gorilla or the hibernation sandy cheeks or the giant squid bob tentacle pants monster, whenever I see that, I think like, okay, this is the other stuff is great, but this is you. This is you flexing your enthusiasm for the animation. Yeah, Lethal Lord, it's the strangest thing. Hold on a second. I just want to watch this scene. Okay, that's what we have so far. It's weird. It's like it's supposed to look very smooth, but I don't want it to look stiff. So I think I might just have to kick it up a notch, which is okay because the first few frames are meant to be a little just touch and go anyway. That's fine. But yeah, it's like when I'm in the zone, the time just kind of flies by. Like I'm not even very fixated on how long it really takes. I just love the process. So the Lolo puppet, he had like an intricate hip system where he could like I could tilt the hip, I could tilt the lower back independently of each other to get that range of body movement. But I can't really do it with this guy right here because the the infrastructure, the armature is just not designed to do that. So I'm gonna have to improvise a bit. Yeah, James, isn't that like that's funny that so you mentioned Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy. So Seth MacFarlane, like he's a guy that is very talented. He's very, very, very talented guy. He's done a wide array of projects. Wide array. He's done music, he's done television, he's done animation, he's done live action, he's done film. But no matter what he does, he's always going to be known as the creator of Family Guy. That was what got him his big break. That was like where he made his mark, I guess you could say. And that's something that I've experienced as well. I think any creative person that has ascertained or rather achieved some level of widespread success or appeal, that's something that you deal with at some point. It's like a creative person always wants to be working on new things, but at the same time, that thing that people discovered you for, they want to see more of that. And that is 100% something that I've experienced with Lego SpongeBob or BrickBob Films, is that in a perfect world, I would just make whatever I wanted and that would be good enough. But people want to see BrickBob Films. Some people want to see more of that every once in a while. I get people asking me all the time. And I'm going to tell you, I used to find that very bothersome. Like people didn't appreciate me; they appreciated just the what I could make, the one thing that I made, rather. But in recent years, I've learned to embrace it and actually appreciate it because ultimately, this work that I make, it is it doesn't really mean anything unless it has an audience. And you guys are my audience. And it's great if I can make some passion project every once in a while and allocate enough time for that. But I do want to make things that are going to get people excited, bring them together, bring the community together, and finding new ways to implement my new skills into it, I think has been very fun. It does have its challenges. So, like BrickBob Films, it is the same format, more or less, as the videos that I made when I was a little kid. But on the other hand, being able to come back to it and implement my new skills that I've done or that I've learned doing other projects and putting it into BrickBob Films, I think has been very exciting. And it makes me excited to come back to BrickBob Films and do more of it. And it, on the flip side, makes me excited to try doing other new projects that are not BrickBob Films. But I think I spent a lot of time sitting around waiting for the right project or the right idea to come along that I could just do for a while. Some kind of a formula like BrickBob Films that I could just be like, okay, people like this. I'm just going to keep doing more of that. I don't have to sit around like inventing a whole new world every time. And I was kind of doing that with Clay Kremling for a while. That show was such a weird chapter in my creative journey. But even then, when I was working on Clay Kremling, there were totally plenty of times where I was like, shoot, I don't want to make this. I want to make something else. I want to make another Mesozoic Mind, make another Cuban Pete, make another Jasper and a Jam, something different. It's such a wide array of different feelings. They change all the time. But I figure I haven't given up yet. That's good. That has to show that I'm doing something right, I think. You're good, James. So initially, when setting up for this shot, I was going to have three men playing the strings, but then I opted for Eugene the Jeep, is his name, the little yellow guy in the center. I opted for him to play the cello. I thought it would kind of like add a bit more variety to the shot, make it less boring. And also, you have the visual comedy of a very small beast playing such a large instrument. Hey, Moyer, thanks for dropping by. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for coming around. Oh, James, I've never seen that. Yeah, like I said before, this project was like I was recruited for it, gosh, a while ago. Like end of summer last year, which is not too far away. Probably a good 8 months ago, 6 plus months. I was recruited around August or September. But yeah, I was so busy with Brickbob Films, and I was like, yeah, no, this looks like a really cool project. This guy had previous experience doing this kind of work. He had his own creative work. He had references. So I knew this project was going somewhere and the project had momentum. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll join. So here I am. It has been a while in getting to record it, though. Actually work on it. Just want to make sure this isn't going to be too stiff. Hey, James, thanks for dropping in. It's good to see you. Three subjects at 24 frames per second. What have I done? I wouldn't have it any other way. Hey, man. Yeah, I know Tim Burton. Might know. One of the biggest, I'd say one of the biggest, like, early childhood influences into getting into stop motion. Nightmare Before Christmas, really. Yeah, the first time, like, so the first time I ever met anyone who did stop motion, it was like it was some relatives, some obscure relatives that I met. I was a little kid, and they showed me a stop motion animated film. It was really cool. They made it in their living room. They made the puppets from clay. They made props. They made set pieces. It was like a whole thing. They made original characters. It was so cool. And oh my gosh, they must have made This was like a pretty retro film. It was made in Christmas 2000. It was that old, so it wasn't shot digitally, I don't think. If it was like very early digital. So they showed me their project, and I was just completely fascinated by it. And they showed me the puppets and props which they kept. I was just completely blown away because I was a big fan of puppetry, and I was just like, "Wait, this is puppetry except there's no strings. You don't have to get your hand in the shot. How do you do this? Like, what makes this possible?" And the husband, he showed me how. He showed me what the process for stop motion was. And I was like, this is so cool. This is amazing. But then after that, they put on their copy of The Nightmare Before Christmas for me. And just like seeing what a homemade stop motion film looked like, and then being shown the process, and then right after that, being shown what it looked like, what it could look like at a professional level. It was just like the most mind-blowing experience I think I ever had in my whole life. And I'd say that once the film was over, I rewound it and watched it again just instantly. I think I might have rewatched it 2 times that very night. I'm not kidding. And I was just like, "Wow, this is what I have to do. This is my purpose. This is what I need to do in life. This is what I want." And here I am today. Still haven't I've definitely floundered along the way, totally, but I didn't I didn't know to what degree stop motion would play in my life, to the point where I'm still streaming it now. Yeah, I know Henry Selick, director of the film. Actually, I just recently rewatched Coraline, which was a film that I saw in theaters, and I vividly remember going up. I was in New York City. I remember going up the escalator to go see the film. I remember what like the corner of the theater looked like when I walked out of the theater after seeing the film. I remember what the street corner in New York looked like outside after seeing Coraline. It was just like after seeing that film, I was I was hyper aware of every meticulous detail in my environment, what the night looked like, what the sky looked like, the busy street. That was just because seeing that film was so eye-opening. I was amazed and I was terrified. And and also a little funny bit of trivia. Coraline was the first film that I ever got, my family ever got on demand. It was Amazon on demand. On demand was a new thing back then. At least I think it was. Because when I grew up, we had a video store in my town, like a mom and pop video store. I vividly remember what that place looked like on the inside. I remember the way the movies were arranged. I remember the little display they had of microwave popcorn with pictures of like Spider-Man. Might have been Spider-Man 2. I don't know what year Spider-Man 2 came out, but it was pictures from like the new Spider-Man movie, and there was pictures of the Sandman on it. But yeah, Coraline, me and my sister, we got it on demand and we watched it over and over and over on my mother's laptop. And we would lose our minds just how like amazing and creepy and fantastic it was. And we would notice all the little bits of foreshadowing for like the villainy in that film. And we would just it was such a childhood classic for me. Yeah, James and the Giant Peach. That's a really good one. I will say that when it comes to animation, that if we're going to be talking about Selick films, like because James and the Giant Peach, that was Selick. I think that was definitely Selick. It had to be Selick. But Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach and Coraline, I would say that that's like the trilogy of the Selick trilogy where all the films are very alike. Like the animation is very alike in all three of those movies, I think. The puppets, the animation style, the tech at the time. Also, especially because James and the Giant Peach came out just a few years after Nightmare Before Christmas. I really do not know the specifics, but I would dare to guess that a lot of the people that worked on James and the Giant Peach were the people that worked on Nightmare Before Christmas. I could be totally wrong about this, but that's just my dumb guess. So Monkey Bone I've never seen. All I heard was that it was bad, it was a flop. But the animation that I have seen in Monkey Bone of the character, it looks really, really good. I don't know if you personally recommend Monkey Bone. I'll definitely see it at some point. Brendan Fraser's in it, I know. But I have absolutely no clue what the story is about or what the plot is or any of that. I did see Wendell and Wild. I think I saw it twice. I was not really a fan of Wendell and Wild. I appreciated the techniques that they used in it, but the story just didn't really hook me as well. Wendell is in Wild is a film that I definitely want to go and revisit though, because if it just like maybe if I watch it again, it will click because sometimes that can help. Sometimes a film may not click with you the first time, but whether I like it, whether I ultimately end up liking it or not, I'd be very curious to understand why it just didn't really click with me. Like I remember also Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was something that just didn't click with me that much, even though by all means it should be something that I absolutely love. And that's not to say that I didn't like Del Toro's Pinocchio. That movie has got like so much legitimately amazing stuff in it. Like it does so many things really well. I remember that Pinocchio was like really annoying me in that movie though. I thought he was very unlikable. Tim, are you talking? Which film are you talking about? Wendell and Wild? Yeah, I'd like to hear your opinion if you have anything else to say. Because Yeah, I just like I tried watching it because by all means, like Henry Selick film, stop motion animation, original story, it should have really hooked me. I feel like, but it just didn't. I remember I wasn't a really big fan of the art style. Like I heard in an interview that the art style in that film was referencing like a particular artist. And there are some characters that look really good, but then some of the characters look so bad, I remember in that film. And the another thing that they did in Wendell and Wild was they did the thing where where they kept the seam lines of the puppets in the film, like they didn't edit them out, which was something that supposedly Selleck wanted to do for Coraline, but they said no. So the powers that be said no. And personally, like I don't feel super. I don't really know how I feel about keeping the lines in. I'm gonna say right now, like I don't know if I feel super strongly one way or the other. I kind of don't. Like I don't feel. I really don't feel that strong one way or the other about keeping the seam lines in for the face panels. Like I thought when watching Wendell and Wild, like, oh, maybe I don't like seeing the seam lines in the face panels. But then I saw something like Anomalisa a few months ago, and the face panels, you can see the lines, and it didn't bother me at all. I just like I think the story just really didn't hook me in Wendell and Wild. Dylan, yeah, Chicken Run is really great. I love Chicken Run. I like Chicken Run more so for like the story behind making the film, how it was Nick Park's directorial debut, and how they had to come to America and pitch it to DreamWorks, pitch it to Katzenberg and Spielberg, and just the story of like getting it made. Also, I got to say that a really genius part about Chicken Run is that almost the whole film takes place in one set, which I think from a production standpoint is pretty genius. But anyway, we got a lot of questions coming in. How you doing, Mrs. Lulu? I think I'll just call you that. It's good to have you here. I don't think I've seen you here before. Yeah, we've been having people popping in, popping out, going for an hour and a half. Must have been filming for an hour by now, almost. Yeah, Tim, I agree that the story in Wendell in Wild, I remember it being good. Like I didn't hate the premise, but there was something about the execution that really just lost me. I remember I really didn't connect with the main character. I don't remember what her name is, but like I didn't connect with her as much as I thought that I should have because it did feel like there were plot lines competing with each other. Like I wasn't really sure who I was supposed to be super focused on because I was trying to focus on the main girl, but then there are like all these other people that show up. I thought the villains were very boring. I thought the side characters were pretty boring. And just the art style did not click with me that much because I thought that it was trying to do the Selleck, creepiness thing, like the monsters, the demons, the demon world, all of that stuff. Stuff that Selleck did in other movies, like because in Coraline and in Nightmare Before Christmas, it works so well, but in Wendell and Wild, I didn't find it very appealing. But I just didn't watch the movie enough to really evaluate it enough. I think I just kind of watched it a couple times, and I was just like, just kind of moved on. Yeah, Missing Link, Wildwood's coming out soon. I'm I know nothing about Wildwood, nothing at all, and I'm kind of chill with that. I'm excited to go into Wildwood with an open mind and just it's an original property. It's going to have to do the lifting work to get me invested in the world, in the characters. Yeah, what Leica does, making original stuff with very high ingenuity in it, all the best people in the world, the best talent. I'm really curious to see what they do next, and I hope that they can keep doing it. How you doing, Jones, man? I think it's the first time I've seen you here. Maybe I've seen you here before, but thanks for pulling up. Yeah, so Jones, I have not seen that Daffy cartoon, but I have seen brief clips of it on Instagram because I think I follow the animator. I follow someone that worked on it, so I've definitely seen clips of it. But I'll have to stay up to date with it because yeah, that looks like it could be really cool. I did see the day the Earth blew up recently. That other Looney Tunes project that came out. Granted, that's completely different, but while we're on the subject of Looney Tunes, but yeah, the animation in that Daffy cartoon looks really cool. I'm always working on like my own stuff that I do need to watch a lot of contemporary stuff that's coming out, seeing what audiences are going for nowadays is important. Mrs. Lulu, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, I'm still going at it somehow. But yeah, I was saying earlier to everyone, and I've said this multiple times, but I've been looking for ways to just include all of my fans, either of just my personal work or my Lego SpongeBob Brick Bob Films work. I want to include people on my process, but I don't really have much time to be editing. I'm also just not really a fan of editing. So having doing the streaming has actually been pretty cool to just kind of talk to you guys and show you my process and tell you all about it in real time. This is my fourth stream. And a week ago, I did not think I would get four streams in. Yeah, I never thought that I would stream. This is a totally new format for me. I was never interested in doing streaming. I mean, when I was a kid, or rather a tween, I was a bit interested in doing like gaming live streams, but I ended up not doing that, and I don't think the world was depraved of anything. But yeah, like with YouTube work, I want to deliver as polished of quality as possible. But I'm not really an editor, and doing this, it's definitely not. It's less filtered, I guess you could say, less polished, less filtered. This is a pretty rudimentary setup I just kind of threw together, but so far it's been working pretty good. I really like that I can let you all into my stop motion program so you can see me animate crystal clear. And also had this little cam for my setup. I just threw it up in the corner there. But yeah, I have more scheduled for the week. So I'm just trying out this new format. But seeing other artists, other animators stream their production process for their work was definitely a big inspiration. Because I used to think, like, why would anyone want to just watch me stream animating? You know? Animation is characterized by being very boring and tedious. So why would anyone want to watch that? But people have been pulling in, asking questions, talking, and it's been such a pleasure having you all here. I couldn't be more pleased. When I did my first stream, I thought no one would show up. Maybe one or two people, but I was surprised with how many people showed up and just started getting involved. So you guys all made this happen. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You all made it happen. To the point where I'm doing this stream and I have more scheduled up coming this week. So don't go anywhere. Take it easy, Dylan. Thanks for pulling in. I don't even know how far along in the show I am. Oh, I see. You have a ways to go. My pleasure, Mrs. Lulu. You being here makes me happy. I'm glad that you're enjoying yourself here. I never thought that I would have company while animating. I I mean, animating is kind of characterized by the crazy amount of solitude that you have to like, which is one of the reasons why I enjoy it. But it's not just the animating, it's also making the puppets, making maquettes, concept art, stuff like that. There's a lot of ways that there's a lot of different parts of the process that I could stream, I think. So not every stream is necessarily going to be me animating. First two were me working on puppets. Oops. I need you to hold on to that. Yeah, actually, these guys I made on stream. Let me get that arm down. Now, oops. I have to make this stationary. There we go. How many people are in the stream? Oh, okay. I I only have so much screen here because this is like a 14-inch MacBook Pro, and I just I have my stop motion program, and I have the chat. I don't even have my screen, like what I'm sharing. I don't even have that window up because there's just not enough screen. It's a very, very small setup, but so far we're making it work. What does this even look like? Oops. Been going for over an hour and we've like barely scratched the surface. 3 subjects. Yeah. Thanks, Lulu. Yeah, it's 24 frames per second. Actually, I don't know how many more frames I technically have to film. Been going for almost 2 hours. I said that I would just film until I would stream until the end of filming the shot, which should be a substantial amount of time. I usually like to do shots from beginning to end in one sitting, or in my case, standing, if possible. But there are times when a shot will just take so long that I cannot do it all at once. Those shots that I did recently of Lolo, oh my gosh, those would be like over 8 hours. Yeah, so Lulu, it's funny that you mentioned that because I made that video like what 2 years ago where I talked about all the SpongeBob movies at the time. And then right after I posted that video, like a few months after, they made another one, put it on Netflix. And I was like, what? Didn't we just get one of these? I'm assuming the films are like tax write-offs or something like that. I have no clue why. But yeah, I made that video because the Sandy Cheeks movie came out. And then after that, the Plankton movie came out. So here's the thing. I've seen the Plankton movie, but I have not seen the new one that just had a theatrical release. I'm not planning on making a video talking about them, but if you would like to ask me questions of what I think you can. But just a reminder, I have not seen the latest one. Search for SquarePants, I think it's called. But if you would like to have a thorough and deep discussion about the SpongeBob movies I have seen, I'd totally be down for that. I think we need more movement on the arms. I think that's what we need. I'm fine with this animation being a little messy, not being super pretty. It fits the aesthetic of the project. Look at this. You see this? The clay is fatiguing. So I have to amend it. Eugene the Jeep down here kind of reminds me of Brian the dog. So I think he looks like. Oops. Here we go. There we go. Clay is not easy to work with. It does take a lot of experience. The new SpongeBob movie is controversial. I heard that people were complaining about a musician showed up at the premiere wearing like revealing clothing or something like that. This could be totally incorrect. I try to avoid the internet as much as I can, so a lot of this are things I hear about through the grapevine. Isn't there a musician called Ice Spice or something? I remember Snoop Dogg showed up in Sponge on the Run, and it was so awful. It was so awful. What is Snoop Dogg doing in a SpongeBob movie? Me and my friend were planning on watching the new SpongeBob film, but we just haven't gotten around to it yet. I am not rushing to go see it. And I certainly wasn't rushing to go see it in the theaters. I don't know. That's the thing. Even though this is pretty funny, it's people associate me with SpongeBob. In my personal life, SpongeBob stuff always makes people think of me. Well, I always have to tell people, I really just I grew up with SpongeBob. I grew up with those original seasons. I grew up with the first movie. But I don't follow modern SpongeBob. To me, the show is just the show that I watched in childhood. That's not the same thing that's being made today. It's completely different. It has the SpongeBob name and the brand and the characters and all that stuff, but The writing's completely different. The humor's different. Even SpongeBob, like I heard him in the new movies, and like he sounds older. I mean, I don't blame Tom Kenny, but like he sounds older. Like shoot, SpongeBob is sounding older. That's how long we've been going here, and there's been a lot of rotation in the writing department to the point where just to me it doesn't feel like the same show. Also, the animation from what I've seen from like the new stuff, like clips, is just completely unrecognizable from what I grew up with. Like the way the characters move, the way they emote is way different. Ooh, that arm's like barely hanging on. Okay, even you have noticed, Tim. It's hard to be a SpongeBob fan. If that is not the truth, I'm hoping that I provide some value to people of my generation, I guess you could say, with my Britbop Films videos. No, yeah, well, it lost a lot of its charm. So, like, of course, I grew up with the original three seasons, but I also like when I was a kid. Season 5 and 6 were kind of new, but I was alive when all of those subsequent seasons were coming out, following the first movie. I loved the first movie when I was a kid. Loved it. But even like so I don't really know what people's opinions are on like season 5, 6, 7. I was alive when they were coming out. I saw a lot of season 6 episodes on DVD. And the writing is so different, even like going from just season 3 to season 5 or 6, the writing is so different. But now it's like it's on a whole other level of different. Welcome back, Lethal Lord. We got a whole bunch of people talking. Keep talking because I'm trying to. This guy wants to fall over. That's not good. I'm trying to figure out what on earth is going on with this guy. Shoot. Oops. All right, rebounded a bit. I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I have not looked at the chat, but like, yeah, I remember that. So, what's so brilliant about those first 3 seasons of SpongeBob, in particular, is like the writers will have one idea. First of all, you have these character archetypes: SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs. Such classic archetypes, character archetypes, and so much room for comedic potential, especially with like how they can play off of each other. And those original three seasons could just take those archetypes, maybe a SpongeBob episode that has SpongeBob, Patrick together alone, maybe one where it's the two of them with Squidward, maybe one with SpongeBob, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs. Just taking those archetypes, and then you give them one scenario, one situation, like what if SpongeBob and Patrick went camping with Squidward, or what if um, SpongeBob SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs had to pretend that they didn't kill somebody, or what if SpongeBob and Patrick were trying to prank people for Halloween, or just prank people in general. Like they'll give them just one little wrinkle and just use that wrinkle to get like 10 minutes of really, really funny television. What if SpongeBob opened a bubble stand and started selling bubbles for 25 cents? What if SpongeBob became a lifeguard for an afternoon? What would happen? What if SpongeBob tried to be a weightlifter? What would happen if SpongeBob could go in other people's dreams? Like every episode is just this great exercise of like just taking one of these archetypes, putting them in X situation, and then just creating all of these brilliant jokes in 10 minutes. Now, I think that like season 4 has its moments. Season 5 too. I'm not really a huge fan of season 4 and season 5 off the top of my head. They do have moments I like, but there was a period of SpongeBob, not exactly sure what season it is. It must have been around season 6. But like SpongeBob got so dumb at one point. Like if I'm ever having like a stressful time and I have an aversion to smart shows, like smartly written entertainment, and I just want to bombard myself with as much idiocy as possible, I'll put on an episode from like season 6 of SpongeBob because of how like aggressively dumb it can be. It's just, oh my gosh. There's like there's just one there's this one joke. There's one joke in, I think it's a season 6 episode of SpongeBob. I'm pretty sure. It's the one where SpongeBob and Patrick are helping Plankton like make the chum bucket look nice. And SpongeBob installs a window. And the window is up too high for Plankton to see it. And Plankton tells SpongeBob, like, SpongeBob, what are you doing? I'll never be able to see out of this window. It's too high up for me. I can't use it. And SpongeBob's just like, oh, shoot, I didn't think of that. I'm sorry. And then you have Patrick heroically announce, it's okay, Plankton. I put mine in low enough for you. And Plankton says, oh, you see, SpongeBob, Patrick's really smart. He uses his brain because Patrick knew that he was considerate and knew that I would actually want to see out of the window. And then he looks at the window and it's just tacked onto the wall with no opening. He just tacked the window onto the wall. He can't see. He can't see shit. I am on stream. And then Patrick says to Plankton, he's like, "Wait, what? You actually wanted to see out of the window?" Oh, so weird. And Plankton completely loses his mind. Like he erupts. And it's like that joke is so aggressively stupid It like falls off of a cliff and just becomes hilarious. I think about that joke probably like once a day. It is so funny to me. But my point being that the writing in something like season 6, even that, the appeal that I find in it is nothing alike the first few seasons. Nothing. Yeah, those first few seasons of SpongeBob are just so amazingly funny, and it's a really smart show. And the reason I say it's smart is because the writing is very self-aware, but the characters are not self-aware, which makes it really clever. Yeah, the bubble episode. I don't know when you sent that, but yeah, that's like so simple yet very effective in the hands of the writers. I really don't know. I don't know what the writers would do nowadays. I really don't know. I have not seen enough new episodes of SpongeBob to say. But if the new films are anything to write home about, I'm not really inclined because the quality of the new SpongeBob films that have come out of late are very poor. Like very poor. And it's just like, okay, whatever story, whatever jokes, ugly animation, who cares? And just throw a few celebrities in there. Hold on a second. I'm going to use the restroom and then I shall return. You guys can keep talking amongst yourselves because yeah, we have a ways to go. How many frames do I have to go? Oh wait. Hold on a second. Okay, we have like 50 frames to go. It's gonna be a while, but we got this. I'm gonna mute. Talk amongst. I shall return. I am back. All right. Nothing stops us We're in it for the long haul. You guys can leave if you want, but I am going to keep trudging along. Please don't leave. I love having you here. Anyway, let's see what we got. I think we're going to be filming another 2 seconds. Okay. We're good. Awesome. Back to it. Where are we? What? What frame? Very weird. When I say new SpongeBob, I mean like the stuff that's coming out now, because they definitely like still make episodes. But yeah, same here. I mean, I would have to pull it up online to say for sure, but I feel like around like after season 8, that was when I like really just didn't see the new stuff, because when I was a kid, I had the cassettes which had the old episodes from the golden age, and then when I was still a kid, a bit older though, my mom would get me the DVDs because they were releasing them in stores all the time. So whenever I grew out of like, whenever my mom stopped buying me the DVDs when I was a kid, that was like the point where I stopped seeing new episodes that were coming out. Yeah, for me, it must have been maybe after season 8. I still like watch the new movies. Not that I'm in a huge rush to see the new movies, because each one has managed to disappoint me more than the last. I do remember seeing Sponge Out of Water in theaters, which, oh man, Sponge Out of Water is definitely not the worst of the SpongeBob movies, but it's so nothing. It's just not really anything. And even like I'll never forget seeing it in the theaters with one of my friends. It was my second time seeing it, but we grew up with SpongeBob. And after seeing Sponge Out of Water in theaters, we just kind of looked at each other, and my friend was like, "Wait, that's it?" Like watching the first SpongeBob movie compared to Sponge Out of Water is already a really stark difference. Because the first movie has a story. Like it actually has a story, not just things happening on the screen for an hour and a half. It actually has a story. Yeah, when I was more of a teenager, I heard of other shows were coming around, like Gravity Falls and Regular Show. But the thing was, I didn't have TV growing up. I just had cassettes and DVDs, and then eventually streaming. So I knew other kids would see those shows on TV, but I just never saw it. Regular Show I didn't watch. Gumball I didn't watch. So my younger sister got into Gumball because she's way younger than me. So she she kind of grew up with a different a different set of cartoons that I did. So Geist Phoenix, I'm gonna continue animating because I gotta get this shot done tonight. I will do I want to do things on stream where I want to allocate some time on streams to go back and review work that I've done and start a discussion about it. But the bulk of my streams I want to be my work process. If you want to submit a request for something to for me to react to live on stream, you could submit a donation. Not saying that you have to do that now, but for future reference. But right now, I have to complete this shot. But later this week, I think I'm going to be doing a stream where I'm sculpting more puppets, and it should be easier to react to past work because right now my setup is all for the animation. Oops. Actually, we need some more movement right here. There we go. So how many more frames do we have? Probably have another 40 frames. I think it is. Let me take a look. Yeah, it's going to be about another 40 frames. Nevertheless, we are getting kind of late here, going for about 2.5 hours. So I am going to call the stream here. Guys, Phoenix, but where would be the fun in that? Fry cooking? Yeah, where would be the fun in that, though? After it was like after making the Survival of the Idiots episode, I was like, dude, let's go above and beyond, you know? Give the people something to talk about. But anyway, I'm going to call the stream here. I actually have to finish this shot, but I am planning on doing another stream, I think tomorrow. Schedule is uploaded to the post tab on my channel. So I'll be seeing you guys very soon, hopefully. So thank you so much for joining again, and I'll be back soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, I'm going to end it right here. See you next time.